What's up everyone? I'm really bad about doing intro videos, so I'm kind of doing one after I've already shot the video. So here it is, part one, modding out my trolling motor for my kayak. So next step that I'm going to work on is this trolling motor. I've seen a lot of guys that are mounting their trolling motor to the kayak, and I've got an older Minn Kota. It's a 40-pound thrust, and I'm gonna work on disassembling it and then following videos that I've seen other guys do, and I'm gonna have to build a transom mount of some sort to the actual kayak. I haven't figured that out yet, but I'm going to. And so and then I'll just get it mounted and I'll give you updates little by little. I don't know how much of the actual video part I'll show, but what I know is that there are multiple screws underneath and that these have to come out. I've already gotten one out, and then you can take the head off, and I'll probably give an update after I get the head off. Alright, so here's what it looks like with the top of the case off. 6 screws, and so obviously this is your handle for your control for speed, forward and reverse, and then there's just this is evidently the switch from what I've seen online. So I'm going to take this part off, the shaft off, and keep the switch and mod something for the switch to be able to use up near where I'm sitting at in the kayak. Okay, so that's the switch off. This is what it looks like underneath. You don't need to worry too much about taking the wires off and marking them, because everything is labeled on the switch. You got white, yellow, red, black, but the only two that I tagged, because there were 2 black cords. One of them's thicker than the other, so I thought, well, I'll probably remember that says it goes to the battery, but I figured I'd mark it anyway. And then this one goes to the battery, but that's the plus side or positive side. So just so I kind of remembered which one was which, and then I marked the other little one that is just a black one. So the because the terminals are all pretty much the same size, so I just did that. Now I'll tell you this real quick before I go to the next step. As you can see, the switch has got this little notch in it, and when you're putting it into either your case or your box or however you're modding it out, make sure you notch your box out, you know, to hold that, and that'll keep the whole thing from shifting when you actually switch and it turns, you know, for your speeds and all that. One other thing real quick, there's this bolt basically goes through here, and that's how you take the head off. So when you're done, you just you'll slide the head off. You have to feed the wires through it, but it was pretty easy to get the wires fed through. So you'll end up with these wires that are still going down the shaft, and then you'll have these wires that are separate that were just leaving your trolling motor basically and going down to your battery. I had attached one of these kind of plugs for my battery because I was using it in my other boat as a temporary motor. So I guess I'll still need to keep this because I've still got to power it to the battery, but I may get a whole new set of cables because I don't know how close I'm going to be able to run the actual wiring. Although with this adapter I might be able to do it and just run a longer one on the other side of this wire. So that's what you'll have. So you just slide off. There was another ring like your block, I guess, to stop the height of your motor, and then you just slide this part off, and that way, because I'm going to shorten the shaft, so that's the reason I'm sliding everything off. I could probably technically just slide this all the way down. I've got to get a piece of pipe that will slide up in between here. What I've seen people doing is they'll get a piece of like EMT, well, or a piece of conduit, electrical conduit, a short piece, and slide it into this over top of the wire, so it protects your wires as you're cutting the pipe to shorten it. So that may be on a different day, but it will be on the same video. Alright, so next step, got everything off. I've measured 17 inches. Should be able to see the mark, maybe. If it'll focus. Well, there's a mark there. Right there. 17 inches from where the shaft actually goes down and touches against the motor itself. So I did 17 inches, which is what was recommended on the site I was watching, and I'll try to attach all that stuff later in case you want to watch a pro do it. And then I didn't have any conduit, but I had an old metal broom handle, and so what I've done is I'm going to work the wire through it, which I've done a little bit, and then this is just going to get pushed all the way up through the pipe, through the all the way up through, and I'm going to go past my mark, probably about 3 inches. I measure that at 20 inches, and it'll go through to about 20 inches, and then that way I know that I can cover what I'm going to cut when I shorten the shaft. So I'm going to give that a shot and see how that goes. Alright, so I've got my metal pipe slid through the shaft. My mark was over here, and I slid a little further than the mark just to make sure, so that it would go past this mark probably to about here. I put a little tape on just so it wouldn't slide out, and I know it's probably not going to, it's pretty tight, but so I'm going to cut this with a hacksaw just so that I can be careful, and I can kind of look and see if I'm actually in the right place or not, and I don't go too far down and cut through the actual metal that I put through there to protect the wiring. Although if I cut a little, it's not a big deal, but I don't want to go through both of them. So I'll try to do a little bit of this. It's going to be hard to do this. I don't have my camera mount to hold it still, but so I'm just kind of going down just a little bit through here so that I actually still see what I've got and how far I've gone down. It's cutting real easy so far, so I don't think it's going to be an issue getting it cut, and it shouldn't take that long, but just kind of nice and easy. Let me get this kind of stopped here. This is where you need another set of hands. There we go. So I'm just basically going nice and easy, and I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm going to have to show you the results. My cut. So there's my cut. Not 100% awesome with that. I don't like using hacksaws very much. And you can see how it just cut through, and it doesn't look like I cut through the other pipe very much. A little dent here and there, but didn't go all the way through it, so it worked great. So quick note, I always thought those were metal. I thought it was either aluminum or like some type of, you know, water resistant whatever, but this looks like fiberglass. It's a plastic composite of some sort, so I didn't even know that. Never realized that. Probably helps with the weight, so it's not too heavy. But I'll probably clean that up a little bit just to make sure I don't mess up any wires and move to the next step. Alright guys, so this is what I've got. I've shortened the shaft on the trolling motor, and I've got it mounted here temporarily just on my bench in order to actually get the wires and everything set up the way I want. So if you're looking at it this way, this is basically the boat would be on this side, you know, kind of working its way back. This is the back of the boat, and so what I'm doing is I've just got PVC fitting. This is just an elbow. It's got a threaded end because the threaded end seems to fit a little better on this end, and so a lot of guys take the wiring and they'll run it through the elbow, and then they'll have the elbow come down on top, and this has got a pretty snug fit here, and I may put some like tape underneath this, underneath here, and then kind of thread it on it. I'm just going to play around with it and see which one works best, and then this will shoot straight back aligned with the actual motor itself, which you can't see because that's further down here, but I'm just lining it up where the prop shaft is sticking out. And then the next step though is a lot of guys would put like a little chair stopper, plug it in here, and then drill a hole in it and run the wires through it. But what I want to try to do is I'm going to add another elbow. So this is a 90 also. I don't know if it'll focus on that very good, but it's got a reducer on one end of it, so it's reduced down, and I believe this is a 1 to a 3/4, so it's going from a 1 inch to a 3/4 inch. This is threaded because it's the only one I could find. I couldn't find one that was not threaded on this side. So what my plan is, I'm going to go through this end the same way I did the other one. Pull the wires through. And then I'm going to glue this together with the other 90, which I'm not doing yet. I'm just test fitting everything right now. So I'll give you a side view of it. So basically, coming up from the shaft, wiring going through and then down, because I think it'll be more waterproof this way, to have this facing down with the wires coming out, unless somehow water is splashing up into it. I don't see that happening. But I'm also going to add one of the stoppers also on the bottom side, drill a small hole for all these to come out, and then that way it should be fairly watertight. So real quick, take these back out. Open up the door stoppers. Not door. I keep calling them door stoppers. They're not door stoppers. They're tips for your chairs. If you got chairs and you're trying to protect your hardwood floor, that's all this is. And so there's a nice area here, nice and flat, where you can drill a hole through. So let's see if this will fit. It's not going to go on the outside of it. Excuse me, but I think it'll go on the inside of it, and it'll actually go up in here pretty nice. And I can probably get a nice tight fit. Yeah, that's gonna be nice. It's nice and snug. I may put a little glue on that too, and then this end is where the wires will come out. So it'll basically be connected in like this, and the wires will be coming out through the hole in the bottom. Nice rubber fit, nice tight seal. And then I'll add some type of, I don't know, some kind of flexible plastic or something for the rest of the wiring to go through, in order to run it down either into the boat, or I'll run it and I'll connect a quick disconnect switch to it, and then all my wiring will be underneath, and there'll just be this little bit going basically straight down into the kayak. So I'll go and show you a little bit of this. I'm just going to run this Gorilla Tape. I think everybody can see this one okay. Let me slide these over here. And I'm just going to go around the top edge of this. I can do it straight. Get off here. But this should be a good fit. If it doesn't fit right and I can't really screw it on down on there, or if it just doesn't fit snug, then I'll just trim some of the tape off or give me a different fit on it to get it to go on there. But I think that one piece should give me a pretty snug fit. Yep, it's actually going to screw on here. So it's grabbing, just like if you guys use thread tape for your PVC. It seems like it's working just like that on this threaded end, and it's bringing it down a little bit to where I should be able to get it lined up nice. Let's see if I can go one more turn here. I don't know if it's going down anymore. I think that's about it. I'm going to straighten it up, get it lined up. Motor, make sure I'm lined up. Yep. Alright, so that was good. And I may I'll put some tape on here for now. I may leave it, I may not, just to kind of hold it in place, so in case it tries to spin on me. It's on the back. And a little bit on the front just to hold it temporarily. It tries to spin since I got it where I want it. So maybe that'll hold it still. And then this fitting is going to be pretty good. I think all I'm going to do is I'll probably put either some glue on it, or I may do the same thing and put some tape on it in order to get a nice tight fit. Alright, so I spent on them all out of PVC glue. So I've got some adhesive. It's an all-purpose. This should work, and then if I have to, I'll tape it. I'm trying to keep it off the wires, and I'm just going to Hit it with a little bit of this. And then, just like I would usually do it with the PVC, work it in. Make sure I'm lined up good before it dries on me. More that way. There we go, that looks good. So I'll let that dry, and then I'll work on the rubber stopper so I can get that in here. Alright, so what I've done is I've I've just slipped the little chair foot knob thing called leg tips. We'll just call them leg tips from now on. Little leg tips onto the short part that I cut off of the shaft, so I can be a little more safe instead of holding on to the actual, just the rubber tip. I can kind of go down here in a little bit and I can drill into it. So that's what I'm going to do. And I don't know if I can get this on camera or not, but I think you guys get the idea. And I'm just going to drill right into the top of this. Shouldn't take but a second. Maybe 2, 3, 4. There we go. Ream it out a little bit. Still don't think it's going to be big enough. I may have to make that a little bigger. Drill the hole in it. I'm going to send these through one at a time and see if that will allow me to get them all through and have a nice snug fit when I'm done. Some of this will get edited out. Sure, we'll figure that out. And my tape's probably going to come off with this one where I marked the black wire, which, just to make sure it went into the right fitting again when I put it on when I add it back. But this is basically for the battery. So the red and the black here are just for the battery. Let's see if we can squeeze these through. I have to make the hole a little bigger. Alright, so I drilled out the hole a little bit more to give me a little more room. I would suggest you guys use at least a, 7/16, maybe even a 1/2 inch bit, because the bit I'm using is a 5/16 and it's just not enough. So you have to ream it out, and it's just time consuming. So not terribly, but so now we've got a nice tight fit though for the wiring. Plus, since it's going to be going up anyway, then I don't think it's going to matter as far as it being super tight fit on here. Just gonna kind of hit this up real good with the glue, my liquid glue. I'll run up in here. And hopefully that does it. So it should stay good. I may take this off and just flip it over so that it's not continually trying to fall down, although I don't think it will. Just here a little bit more. Twist, and I think we'll be good. The glue's going to dry pretty quick because it's already dried pretty quick on my hands. So I'm going to let that dry, and then we'll work on the rest of this as we move along.